Welcome to PAATH History YouTube channel. Subscribe our channel to get regular notification and follow our official Facebook page. Today we are going to discuss about various time scales in Indian history. Common Era is one of the year notations used for the Gregorian calendar, the world's most widely used calendar era. Before the Common Era or BCE is the era before CE. BCE and CE are alternatives to the Dionysian BC and AD notations respectively. The Dionysian era distinguishes eras using the notations BC or before Christ and AD or Anno Domini, which means in the year of the Lord. Since the late 20th century, CE and BCE are popular in academic and scientific publications as culturally neutral terms. They are used by others who wish to be sensitive to non-Christians by not explicitly referring to Jesus as Christ nor as Dominus or Lord through use of the other abbreviations. The two notation systems are numerically equivalent. That means 2021 CE and AD 2021 each describe the current year. The Gregorian calendar is used throughout the world today and is an international standard for civil calendars. Now question is, how can we relate Indian traditional time scales with the present international system? There are various time scales in ancient India, and we are going to discuss the major year notations one by one. First of all, we are going to discuss about Vikrama Sambat, also known as Vikrami calendar, the historical Hindu calendar used in the Indian subcontinent. A number of ancient and medieval inscriptions used the Vikrama Sambat. Although it was reportedly named after the legendary king Vikramaditya, the term Vikrama Sambat does not appear in the historical record before the 9th century. The same calendar system is found with other names such as Krita and Malava. In colonial scholarship, the era was believed to be based on the commemorative of King Vikramaditya expelling the Shakas from Ujjain. However, later epigraphical evidence and scholarship suggest that this theory has no historical basis. During the 9th century, epigraphical artwork began using Vikrama Sambat, suggesting that the Hindu calendar era in use became popular as Vikrama Sambat. Buddhist and Jain epigraphy continued to use an era based on the Buddha or the Mahavira. A number of authors believe that the Vikrama Sambat was not started by Vikramaditya, who might be a legendary king or a title adopted by a later king who renamed the era after himself. Vincent Smith and D.R. Vandarkar believed that Chandragupta II adopted the title of Vikramaditya and changed the era's name to Vikrama Sambat. According to Rudolf Hornell, the king responsible for this change was Yashodharman. Hornell believed that he conquered Kashmir and is the Harsha Vikramaditya mentioned in Kalhan's Rajatarangini. Some earlier scholars believed that the Vikrama Sambat corresponded to the Aegis era of the Indo-Scythian or Saka king, King Aegis. This was disputed by Robert Brassey after the discovery of an inscription of Vijayamitra, which is dated in two eras. The theory was discredited by Falk and Bennett, who placed the inception of the Aegis era in 47 to 46 BCE. The classical Vikram Sambat is generally 57 years ahead of Gregorian calendar, except during January to April when it is ahead by 56 years. The month that the new year starts varies by region or subculture. We can take an example. If we want to convert 2021 CE into Vikram Sambat, we have to add 56 years if it is between January to April 2021. Otherwise, we have to add 57 years. So, from 0 to 2021 equal to 2021 years and additional 57 years, then total 2078 Vikram Sambat. The Shaka Era or Shalivahana Shaka is a historical calendar era, year numbering system, the epoch of which corresponds to Julian year 78. It is commonly known in Indian languages as Shalivahana Shaka, era of Shalivahana, or Moha Shakrat, or Greater Era, and continues to be used in traditional calendars. The origin of Shaka Era is highly controversial. There are two Shaka Era systems in scholarly use. One is called Old Shaka Era, whose epoch is uncertain, probably sometime in the first millennium BCE, because ancient Buddhist and Jaina inscriptions and texts use it, but this is a subject of dispute among scholars. The other is called Shaka Era of 78 CE, or simply Shaka Era, a system that is common in epigraphic evidence from southern India. The beginning of Shaka Era is now widely equated to the ascension of King Joshtan in 78 CE. His inscriptions dated to the years 11 and 52 have been found at Andhau in Kutch region. These years are interpreted as Shaka years 11 or 89 CE and 52 or 130 CE. A previously more common view was that the beginning of Shaka Era corresponds to the ascension of Kanishka I in 78 CE. According to historian Dinesh Chandra Sirkar, the historicity inaccurate notion of Shalivahana era appears to be based on the victory of the Shatavahana ruler Gautamiputra Shatakarni over the Shaka or Western Khatrapa kings. Sirkar also suggests that the association of the northern king Vikramaditya with Vikrama era, also historically inaccurate, might have led the southern scholars to fabricate a similar legend of their own. The Saka Era is the vernal equinox of the year AD 78. The year of the official Saka calendar is tied to Gregorian date of 22nd March every year, except in Gregorian leap years when it starts in 21st March. So if we want to convert 2021 CE into Shaka Era, we have to deduct 78 years. It will be 1943 Shaka. The Gupta era is a historical calendar era that begins from circa 318 to 319 CE. It was used by the Gupta emperors as well as their vassals and their successors in present-day northern India and Nepal. It is identical to the Pallavi era or Pallavi era, which was used in Saurashtra region of Western India, although regional differences led to a slightly different calculation for the conversion of Pallavi era years to Common Era. The Gupta era is now believed to have been started by the Gupta kings, although there have been several debates over its origin in the past. J. F. Fleet analyzed the Gupta inscriptions and realized that they were dated to years of a particular calendar era. He believed that the era was founded by King Jayadeva of Lichavi dynasty, relatives of the Guptas, and was later adopted by the Guptas. Later discoveries and analysis indicate that the era was actually founded by the Guptas and was known after them. The most prevalent theory about the era's origin credits Chandragupta I with its establishment. He was the first Gupta king to assume the imperial title Maharaja Dhiraj, so several modern scholars theorize that he founded the era around 319 CE and that the epoch of his era marks his coronation. Scholars such as Vincent Smith and P. L. Gupta date Chandragupta's ascension and thus the epoch of the era to 319 to 320 CE, while others such as George Buhler dated to 318 to 319 CE. So, if we want to convert 2021 CE into Gupta era, we have to deduct 319 or 318 years. It will be 1702. The Bengali calendar or Bangla calendar Bangabda is a lunar calendar used in the Bengal region of the Indian subcontinent. The new year in the Bengali calendar is known as Poila Boishakh. The Bengali era is called Bengali Sambat or BS as an abbreviation, or the Bengali year has a 0 year that starts in 593 or 594 CE. It is 594 less than the AD or CE year in the Gregorian calendar if it is before Poila Boishakh, or 593 less if after Poila Boishakh. Before present years is a time scale used mainly in archaeology, geology, and other scientific disciplines to specify when events occurred before the origin of practical radiocarbon dating in the 1950s. Because the present time changes, standard practice is to use 1st January 1950 as the commencement date or epoch of the age scale. The abbreviation BP has been interpreted retrospectively as before physics, that refers to the time before nuclear weapons testing artificially altered the proportion of the carbon isotopes in the atmosphere, making dating after that time likely to be unreliable. In a convention that is not always observed, many sources restrict the use of BP dates to those produced with radiocarbon dating. The alternative notation RCYBP is explicitly radiocarbon years before present. The BP scale is sometimes used for dates established by means other than radiocarbon dating, such as stratigraphy. This usage differs with the recommendation by Van der Plich and Hogg, followed by the Quaternary Science Reviews, both of which requested that publications should use the unit A for annum and reserve the term BP for radiocarbon estimations. If we convert a BP scale into BCE, then we have to calculate it from 1950. Suppose it is 5000 BP, then from 1950, 5000 years will be deducted. So it will be 5000 minus 1950, that means 3050 BCE. The Center for Ice and Climate at the University of Copenhagen has proposed B2K as years before AD 2000 based on the Greenland Ice Core Chronology 2005 or GICC05 time scale. So this is the end of our discussion. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe our channel and follow our official Facebook page. Feel free to mail us for any query. For details, see the description.